Hi, I'm Midge Shoemaker, and today is day 61 of my doing 100 days of YouTube videos and focusing on my writing. So yay, I made it to day 61. Yay, I love day 61. I'm just happy to have another day done. And today, again, I'm just kind of I don't really want to say I'm being lazy with my writing. I'm being creative. I'm working on different things to write about because I'm just not in the mood or feeling well enough to pull out my books and start working on them. Also, they're very time consuming and I'm very limited for time right now. So I'm trying to figure out how I can write things to still do my videos, to still, work on my writing, to still improve my writing, develop my writing skills, all of those fun, fabulous things, and doing it in a short period of time. So yesterday I mentioned I did that poem for my friend, and I was thinking the 10 things I love about you kind of a thing. So tonight that started playing in my head, and I I think that's God's way of telling me this is what I need to work on today, because I was doing something else and it just kept playing in my head, like the different things, and I started listing things, not necessarily 10 things right off the bat, but things that I love about myself. So I was like, okay, so I did another thing about myself, but this is kind of a fun thing for me because I know when I did my 12 steps, I did step 4 is like taking a fearless and moral inventory of yourself. And so I love that my sponsor told me to do, the first thing she told me to do was write things that I liked about myself. And I remember that probably took me like a week the first time I did that to come up with anything I liked about myself, let alone like 10 things or something that I liked about myself. I don't know where that list is. I didn't get it out to do this tonight. But it's really interesting to realize I did that years ago, and then tonight I could sit down and it was really easy to come up with 10 things that I loved about myself. So I was like, there's a lot of change, a lot of growth, a lot of progress. And I think it's good to just every once in a while be like, it's kind of like a little self-esteem boost, shot in the arm. Instead of doing the negative thoughts that I used to, all the things that are wrong with me, I could always go. I don't want to go back down that road again. That's so easy to be my own worst critic, to think of all the things that I'm doing wrong, that I didn't get right, to start feeling not good enough, to go into that negative cycle and that cycle of depression. And I'm working to break that cycle, and I feel like I'm making progress. And so I think in part of making that progress, I need to continue to recognize that progress, to celebrate that progress that I'm making in myself, like I was doing last night in my video. And today, in writing just a list, I just wrote down a list of 10 things I love about myself. So I think that's a good thing to do. If any of you are watching that and want to do that, I think it's a good challenge to just look and say, hey, what am I good at? What do I like about myself? What do I love about myself? What are some fun things about me? And just, whatever comes to mind. And if you need a little help, just say a little prayer and God will pop some random things in your head, things that maybe you weren't thinking about, but are always nice. And I'm sure I could make my list longer than 10, but I didn't really want to make it longer. So I don't know if I can read the whole thing to you, but because, as much as I love writing in cursive and writing in general, my handwriting is not always legible, even to me. So trying to remember what I wrote and trying to be able to read it are two totally different things. But I did write to the top 10 things I love about me. And the first one is I love my beautiful smile. That's one of the things I've always liked. I don't know why. I've just always thought that I had a really pretty smile. So I'm like, I like my smile. So I hope other people like my smile too, but I love my smile. So we'll start with something very simple, very superficial maybe, but it makes me feel good to just look in the mirror, to smile, to be able to smile at other people, to get people to smile back. And it's like, I just like to smile. So I love that. And I love that I'm willing to learn new things. I always want to learn new things. And I think I'm a little slow. I'm slower than other people when it comes to learning how to do new things, but I'm willing to learn new things. I'm willing to try new things. So I love that about myself. And then I love that I'm just, see, this is the problem. I can't read my own handwriting. I love that I'm discovering and something that I can't read. Oh, I think I love that I'm discovering and trying new things and talents about myself. So I'm discovering new things about myself, new talents about myself, and I'm trying them out. I'm seeing how they work, and I'm experimenting with things, which I've been doing a lot of since I started doing these little poems and creating stuff on my Word documents. And it's like, okay. And I think those are things that I've done or did years ago, and I just kind of forgot about them. Like they just kind of went dormant for a while because I wasn't using them. And now it's kind of in the process of like redeveloping them. Like, any talents or muscles, they atrophy after a while if you don't use them. And sometimes you forget you have them. And then, an opportunity presents itself. And it's like, oh, wait, I can do this? Cool, I can do this. I think that kind of goes along with that saying that I didn't like for a while, and I'm starting to realize that I do, is that I'm capable of more than I give myself credit for, because I don't realize all the things I'm capable of doing. I think I spend too much time being the damsel in distress and trying to convince other people to do things for me, or thinking that what I'm doing isn't good enough. And yet, when I give myself the chance to try, like I did with that Christmas poem that I did, it actually turns out really well. And I can actually do things. So I can do things more than I thought that I could. And I'm like, let somebody else do it so I don't have to worry about it not being perfect. But it's kind of fun to realize that, oh, wait, I can do that. This is kind of cool. So love learning new things about this. And I love that I can't read my handwriting. I love that I love bright colors. There we go. See, I told you, I'm terrible with my own handwriting. I write stuff down without the intention of ever like reading it again, or when I go back, I don't remember what I wrote, so it doesn't just pop right back into my brain. But I love bright colors. I love seeing bright colors. I love seeing things in nature and in out in the world. And I'm drawn to things that are like the bright colors that just stand out. It's like, ooh, there's a pretty color over there. What is that? And it's always the bright colors, the light colors. It's not the dark colors. So I like that. I love that I'm learning to laugh at myself and at my mistakes. So I can laugh at my own jokes and I can laugh at my mistakes. I'm laughing at my horrible handwriting tonight. So I apologize. I appreciate your patience in letting me try to figure this thing out, because it's so not working very well for me. This is why I should type stuff up instead of handwrite it, because then at least I can go back and read it. Or why I should write it in print, because even though my print isn't very neat, it's at least legible most of the time. Most of the time. But I like cursive, and it's so much faster and easier, but then it ends up looking like scribbles, and I can't figure out what I did with myself. I love that I am something and something. I love that I'm creative and that I can look at things from many different angles and perspectives, myself included. So yay, because I am learning lots of different perspectives with this whole gratitude thing and doing my writing, as I realize that I'm creative and that there's more than one way to do things, and I can figure out different things. And like for my writing, when I first started doing my 100 days of writing, I was so focused on writing my books that I'm like, I have to just write something in my books every single day. That's what I thought I was going to do for my writing. And then when I haven't felt good or I've been short on time, I'm like, okay, what can I do that counts for my writing so I can do my videos, because I don't want to stop writing something. And so it's been forcing me to think outside of the box and to become more creative. But I can do that, and I can do other things. So I'm grateful that I can see those different perspectives and things like that. So I love that. And I love being different and doing things differently. I had a friend growing up that would always talk about being normal, and I was like, I am not normal. I am anything but normal. I do not want to be normal. I do not want to be average, because those people don't actually exist. Average is like they take a whole bunch of other numbers and they put it together. So it's like the average person doesn't actually exist, or if it does, it's like very rare. Which is odd, because everyone's like, oh, it's average. And I'm like, yes, but you took the way extremes and all the other people in between, and you came up with this number in the middle. And that's only going to be a couple of people, or maybe nobody at all, that actually fits the average. And most people don't look at it that way or think that way. And like, I've heard that normal is only a setting on a washing machine. I like that saying just because, what's the whole point of acting normal, acting like everyone else? I like being different. I don't want to be everyone else. And even looking back as a teenager and my friends like, oh, I'm just normal. And I'm like, I'm not. I don't want to be normal. I want to be crazy. I want to be silly. I want to be different. I want to be unique. I want to be special. And so I love that I am. And I love that everyone else really is too. But some people are like, oh, I'm just normal. I'm just boring. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not, and I'm glad I'm not. So there we go. I love that. I I love a challenge and change. Maybe not when I'm in the middle of it, but I'm always looking for something new and different, and that means change. I don't think I've had a job that's lasted me more than 5 years, if I'm perfectly honest, because I just get bored. And if life doesn't throw something at me to make changes in my life, I will find something to change because I get bored of the mundane. I get bored of doing the same thing. I'm always looking for something new to be excited about, to look forward to change. And so even though I think I complain a lot, especially when I'm going through a lot of stuff where it's really hard for me, I'm grateful for doing these videos because it's helping me to see the changes that I'm making. And I like the changes I'm making in myself. I like how I'm feeling about myself. I like how my perspective is changing. And I like seeing that I can do things. And maybe it's not everything that I want, and maybe it's not the way that I want, but things are still working out in my life. And I'm very grateful for that. And I feel very blessed and very fortunate. And I'm grateful that I can enjoy the change. And not that I enjoy it every day, and not that I enjoy when I'm going through it. I much prefer when I just get to pick something like I'm going to move or I'm going to change jobs or do something like that because it's something I chose, not something that was, life thrust upon me. But either way, it means that I get to learn something new. I get to try something different. I get to discover new things about myself every time I go through one of those changes. So I actually do like change. So I do love that about myself because life is full of changes. There's nothing that's like permanent or consistent in life as much as we would like it to be that way. So, and I get, like I said, I get bored if I get stuck or mundane or it stays the same for too long. I'm like, and it's time to change something. So I'm grateful that I like to do that. Um, I love that I'm not perfect. It is, it means there are more things for me to discover and learn. So I'm learning to love the fact that I'm not perfect because my imperfections mean more fun, more friends, more life. It also means that it means that there's more things for me to learn, for me to discover, for me to find joy in my life. That I'm not like, because I think once you reach that perfection stage, you perfected something, then you're like, and now I'm done with that. So what's next? So I'm like, always want something new to learn and to discover. So I'm grateful that there's more things out there and that I'm not perfect. I'm still learning to love that part of the imperfection thing because the whole trauma growing up and feeling like I had to get it perfect or I couldn't do it. And so I really love that I'm learning to love not being perfect because it means I get to discover new things. So this is a fun little list for me of things to discover about myself. And I love that I'm learning to love myself. Actually, I just put I love that I'm loving myself. I'm still learning how to take better care of myself and doing better things, but I am so very grateful that I'm loving myself. Because for a longest time, I didn't see myself clearly. I didn't see myself the way that God saw me or that other people saw me. I I saw myself through the eyes of abuse and through trauma and feeling neglected and thinking, well, if that's how I was treated, then I must not be worth anything. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to change that perspective through doing my gratitude videos and doing my writing. And so grateful that I can discover all of these new things to love about myself and to know that they're true. Like, these are things about me that I love, that I do, and that I have been discovering through this process of writing. And amazing the things you can discover about yourself when you write and you open yourself up. But that is something about writing. I think to be a true writer, you have to open yourself up. You have to look into your heart. You have to see who you are. You have to see what comes out. You have to be willing to face whatever your demons may be. And usually they don't end up being as scary as we think that they are. And then you have an opportunity to share that with other people and say, look what I created. Look what came out of me. Isn't this amazing? And it can be scary, it can be challenging to be that vulnerable, but it's so freeing. I think I feel so much more peace and so much more confidence in myself discovering all of these things and allowing myself to be vulnerable and not really caring anymore. Just like, this is who I am, take it or leave it. It's just the way that it is. And I will probably continue to change and continue to grow, and continue to learn things about myself. That's what life is all about. And I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to do that and to do these videos. So if you like them, you can hit like, subscribe if it helps, or you think it'll help someone else, you can share it with them too. And I hope you have a great day full of gratitude and maybe do some writing.